Hey, good Saturday morning to y'all. This is Timo, um, coming at you from my little hometown here. Nice sunny morning out there. Went out and did a lot of watering, get ready for the day. Gonna pick my granddaughter up, me and Carol, and we're gonna have a nice day. Don't know what we're doing yet, but we'll figure it out. And today I am doing another segment of the albums that inspired me and still inspire me till this very day. And this one is Fleetwood Mac, the self titled album from 1975. Some people call it the White Album from Fleetwood Mac. And this I've had in my collection for many moons. And this is when Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham came into the band, and I actually love that. I love Rumors and this album. Tusk, it's an acquired taste. Through the years, I've liked a little bit more of it, but these two albums, and Rumors, I don't care. They were great albums. I am a firm believer that the Peter Green Fleetwood Mac was the best because it was the most experimental and it was bluesy, which is all my stuff, rock, blues. But this album, when it came out, is a fantastic album, to be quite honest with you. And it introduced Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks um, to the world. You know, they had Buckingham Nicks out, and that really was a great album. I was playing it last week, and it just didn't go nowhere. But Mick Fleetwood heard it, heard what these guys could do, and them two could do, and the rest is history. And you know, this at this time when this came out, it was kind of a softer rock. You know, a lot of soft. Dave Mason was out there, the Eagles, Poco. You know, a lot of bands that was like considered that soft rock era. But this album blends folk, pop, blues, blues roots, anyways, into a clean, warm California sound. And McVie, Christine, and John, and Mick Fleetwood, straight out of England. But they had that, they gave this like that California feel. That's how I feel about it. And, you know, there was a lot of diversity in the singing on this, you know. Um, Christine McVie, I've always loved her voice, very soulful. Um, and she wrote some steady pop songs, and Stevie Nicks had that mystical vibe and that haunting delivery back then, and really she was kind of bewitching. You see her on stage back in those old photos or those old clips from when they were playing, and yeah, she was quite a stage presence, and Fleetwood Mac have had some great guitarists, Peter Green being one of them, Bob Welch. Um, and it's just, but I liked Lindsey Buckingham, his finger picking style. He was sharp, and he was very inventive. And I love his guitar work, and I always thought he was very underrated as a guitarist. And he had some dynamic arrangements on this album, and he anchors, the record's energy, to be quite honest with you. And just fantastic album, man. And I know that they get their crap, when Stevie Nicks and Lindsey came into the band, that was the end of the band. Well, I don't feel that way. As they went on, I kind of lost track after Rumors. But Fleetwood Mac has always been a great band, truly has. And I think when they came in, they really brought something to the table. And actually, I know they did, and they brought these albums up into the stratosphere. My key tracks are Rhiannon. I love that song. Nick's, hypnotic anthem and her breakout, really, and featuring her poetic storytelling and those driving rhythms of the band. Landslide, another Stevie Nicks song, deeply vulnerable, acoustic folk masterpiece, showcasing raw emotional, resonance. And Say You Love Me, great song by Christine McVie, infectious riff, perfectly crafted pop rock radio style song, and it went up there into the charts, and I still love that song. And then Lindsay's Monday Morning, very upbeat, driving opener to open up the album, and it instantly sets a fresh, energetic tone for the album. So, this album, like I said, we'll take the plastic off. Back cover, picture of the band. This has been, I've had this for a long time. And the album just on black vinyl. No colors on this one. And just a fantastic album. And, what does this album mean to me? Well, I can twist my fingers around this album. It's like it brings me back to this times. When I was out with, on this farm out in New Jersey years ago, and what a good buddy of mine, and searching for that shimmer of a dream. I was at a part in my life when this album came, not back in '75, but when this album came into my life, I was searching for myself somewhere along the wreckage and the triumphs and everything else, and I needed, being out there, the fresh air. There was like horses around. This guy Stanley Dancer had a horse farm close by, and it was just, I was stuck in that mellow glow. The city, left the city behind, all the chaos, all the nuttiness, and I remember we used to sit out, and the guy's name was Bob. Bob's still around. I haven't seen him in years. We were in contact for a while. His brother Richie too, another guy. We had a lot of fun together. But we used to sit out in his glass house. He had like this big glass house out in the back, and we just riding into the midnight with music, a couple of beers, good conversation. Out traveling around, checking out New Jersey. My brother-in-law was out in McGuire Air Force Base, and when I was a kid, I used to go out there and visit my sister, and she lived in New Egypt, New Jersey, and it reminded me of that. I remember us going out there and checking some stuff out, and I was thinking of my family back home, thinking of my sisters and my brother, and what I was gonna do, and I ended up coming back, and that getaway really helped me. And this album was constantly playing. Bobby loved this album, so did Richie, and we would just travel down the road. I think he had the 8-track at the time. Put this in, and just dig it, just dig the music. We drove over to New York, went down by the ocean, and just so many nights of just in a glorious days, and just drifting through time and space, man. It was a time. It was a time. I was a young man, and I can. When I look back on those times, it wasn't like real hard things going on. It wasn't hard consequences, hard times. It was just, it's kind of soft. It was just, we were just a pack of onlookers, just looking at life up ahead, and we had a friggin', when I think back at it, we had a really fun time. They were some good dudes, man. And I got to reach out to Richie, see if he's still around. I hope he is. And but Bobby, his girl, they weren't together no more, but they had a kid, young, and the little kid would come over, and Bob made this like sand. It wasn't like a sandbox, but it was like this sand area, and the little kid would play on it like he was out on the beach. And it was just fun times. We'd watch him while she went into town and did her stuff, and it's just some great times, and that's what the music has always been a backdrop to some of the best and some of the worst times of my life. But it was a really wonderful time to be alive, to be young, and I just love this album. And like I say, you it seems like at that time you either loved the Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham era, like I said, these two albums, Rumors and this, or you didn't. You were a purist to the Peter Green thing, or maybe Bob Welsh or whatever, but these songs still hold up till this very day. And if you haven't heard this album in a while, please go back, check it out, give it a listen. Maybe listen, because it was played so much, and so wasn't Rumors. It was so overplayed. I will say that. I mean, back then it was on every station. Dreams, Rihanna. You just hear this Fleetwood Mac all over the place, and people got sick of them. But if you haven't heard this in a while, go back, give it a listen, check it out. Maybe look at it from a new perspective. Maybe see if it can bring you back to some good memories, or maybe some not so good memories. But sometimes those not so good memories shaped our lives for the road down, the road to come. And that's just my take, how the music has affected me, how it plays a part in the snapshots of my life, and how it's still, if I put it on, and I think I want to listen to it today, put it on, and just go back to a time, think of Bobby and Richie, and that little kid Marty, who's now probably a grown man, most likely is a grown man. Hope he had a good life. He was a nice little kid. But check this album out. It's worth the listen. Waddy Wachtel plays rhythm guitar on Sugar Daddy. Who was it? Recorded at Second Sound Studios. No, at Sound City Studios in Los Angeles. Just good stuff. The sleeve concept was a Fleetwood Mac thing. And great songs. I'm Afraid, Sugar Daddy, World Turning, Landslide, Say You Love Me, Crystal, Over My Head, another great song by Christine, Rhiannon, Blue Letter, Warm Ways, and Monday Morning. There ain't a bad song in this whole album. That's my opinion anyways. So listen, it is Saturday morning. We're going to go out and search and have some fun. And I think we'll maybe put this album on in the car when we're going to pick up Skylar, and just dig some nice summer sounds from Fleetwood Mac on a nice summer day. So enjoy your day. Keep listening to the music. It's a healer. It's a memory box. It brings people together, and it always will. Take care and have a great day.